All right. Sure, there's going to be some more people that are going to join, and hopefully I can even do this on Facebook. I got a hind quarter from a deer here, and I know a lot of people have asked me about it. Thanks, Eric Hoppy, for donating this one to the cause. You're not really donating it, but let me cover a couple things. Use a 6-inch Forstner Vortex boning knife, and according to my son, I use only this. Now, I do not use my other sharpener that takes away. I just roll the edge on it here and there. Here's the other thing that is your world's best friend, other than having a phone here, is your torch. I keep a little torch running. As soon as I take these quarters off of the deer, I make sure I burn all and any hair off around here. Actually, it's gonna sound funny. Yeah, burn a little bit of the chest too, because a lot of times that gets stuck on you. I will attempt to keep up with any questions here, but first thing I do is I take this quarter out right here, I flop it down, and the best thing you can do is trim all of this crappy stuff off right away. Just start trimming the crappy stuff off. You got a good sharp knife, use it, and take that stuff right off. And get yourself a good solid piece of meat. A nice trim bucket over here that I use. I don't want any contamination, anything. I want all this crappy stuff right here off. Right there. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's the back side of this thing here. I'm just gonna, take my time a little bit. Make sure that I'm not gonna have any of that when I start to get my big chunks of meat. Right here. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if Facebook allows this type of live stuff, but I thought I'd do it anyway. See what happens. Here's the other thing that I do. I always keep a napkin very close. Any blood that I have, I always take care of that right away. I don't want that on my boards. I don't want it anywhere else either. You can see that taking off all the crappy stuff here. Anything that people have jumped on or tried to get around. Boy, I've heard every story in the world about why particular bones are broke on it. So we just want to be aware of that. We'll spin this thing around. Take off any of the fat up here up top. Want the cleanest looking piece of meat that I can get. See some blood oozing there a little bit, so grab my towel real quick. So then I will take this right here and I put it right here, right on the ball, because when you flip this thing over, it's gonna bleed. That thing is gonna bleed right there. Looks like Danny's trying to message us. Yep, and then I'll flip it over. The easiest way to work with a hind is to work with it when it's in its fullest piece right here. Hydrate. All right, so you're gonna work with it in its fullest piece, and that's where you really wanna take care of any of this fat or any of this skin right here. Start to take it off right now. Those are good pieces for your bird feeder. They have a little bit of meat ever so slightly in them. I know, everybody's like, oh, you're not cooking something. I want you to cook the whole hind quarter. I want you to do a dinosaur steak like the bearded butchers. Yeah, well, I'm not bearded. I'm from Graston. What do you want me to do? All right, so yep, it takes a little bit of time. Just gonna slowly work through this right here so that you guys can see it all. Again, having a really sharp knife, and a lot of people use fillet knives at this point to do a lot of this stuff. That works. it works. I just know that these Victorinox knives they're by far the best. They hold they hold a really good edge. My kids have been cutting with me, usually to my right, but they have families now. They don't have time for it. So, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm just still cleaning this end up, talking my way through it here, like what I like to do best. All right. Keep cleaning that up. You're just trying to get up anything you don't want to eat. If it looks gross, I ain't putting it in my mouth, and I ain't putting it in my trim pile. So I will clean all that stuff up, because I know my good neighbors down there, because this is their deer, they don't want it either. That's why they keep coming this way. So they will tell you that he did have the DNR stop in on Sunday. Eric probably doesn't know this yet, but I've always got good records here, keep good clean records, so he had nothing to say except have a great day, and he said that he was the only person in Orange that I had seen all day on the civilian side. So he said the rest were in the state forest. So as you can see here, I got a good nice piece of clean meat right there. If anything that's bad, you can see how much blood soaked into that right there. There we go. Sorry about that. Back to that. Sorry about that. The blood soaked into that. Again, I want to be super careful. I don't want any blood going around. So then I grab it right here. Now you're going to go after that, what they call the football roast. Right? You grab it by the mohawk. Hydrate. Right here by the mohawk. And there's a bone right here. Right here. I got this thing standing straight upright. I'm going to cut in, straight down. You're going to hit a bone, always following the bone with your knife. Straight across till you hit the to the ball and socket, and then straight up. I'm going to put that one off to the side. I'm going to grab this tip. This is the sirloin tip roast. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to set that right there. Now, this is where I do a little bit different. Has the same result as most people, is that I take what's left. I don't just take the bone right out. A lot of people do that. What I do is I look for, there's a definite separation right here. Okay? This side you can't get your finger in there. This side you can. So I'll reach in there and I grab this piece. Cut it out, that's trim. Cut this off. And as you can see, I just peel this back. Because there's basically going to be 3 separate pieces of meat right here that you're going to take out. And all I'm doing is separating this. Following it down, separating it. Separating. All the way until you get to the end over here. I keep separating. Yep, until I can pull it out. There's your second chunk. So the first one was our football. Actually, there's 4. There's our football, which is the eye around, our sirloin tip roast. This is our last piece here. And then again, I try to trim and work with stuff when it's in its biggest form, because I think it's easier to work with. I know there's a lot of people that don't do it this way, but all of a sudden I can get all of this off before I'm working with a little piece of meat. That's just that hard tallow fat, then that's the worst. So then I'm gonna cut this last piece off. I'm just cutting it right off the bone, which again, it's just like everybody else does it. I just do a little bit opposite. And this last, I just grab the leg again. I'm working alone tonight, because that's what I do. And I take the calf off, put it in my trim pile. I do it a little different when I'm alone, because I don't have help. It's just sometimes I'll trim as I go. Keeps me mentally busy. I don't know. You say what you want. Hard to believe that I just sit around and talk to myself. But then the calf pieces. This one was by far the coldest deer. I cut this year, and it was beautimous. It was, you get them deer that they're absolutely cold. They're fun to cut. Not gonna lie, I got a little heater going behind me because I'm a wussy nowadays. And I've already did the other side. So real easy for me. And a lot of times I will try to stay ahead of myself on the trim side. So taking off any disgusting stuff, fat. These are just calf muscles. I just cut them up. And again, one thing that most people have no idea about, when I do deer for people, I like to take out anything that's hard or nasty or like, I don't know, I don't want it. I don't want to eat it. And I've had guys take my stuff and make trim meat out of it. But I don't want this hard fat. And then I cut it up so that it doesn't get stuck in people's grinders, because I do a lot of stuff for people that make their own sticks and jerky and stuff like that. So I don't know, I like to trim that stuff off. And if you go to a butcher shop, time is money there, and they're rocking it. I'm pretty fortunate. I can do deer pretty quick. I don't do as many as I used to because I don't want to. So again, I like to help people out. I like to help them out when they show up, and they can't pay 150 some bucks for trimming and doing that stuff. But no, Mac Perry, I'm not doing your deer. You can't shoot. The downside of shooting those Boone and Crockett bucks is that they're not worth doing them for 80 bucks. It's a $200 to $260 deer in the butcher shop. So all right, so let's start back with this football roast. I like to call these round steaks. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to trim this thing up and make it presentable. So there's a gigantic cap on it. That is just a giant piece of skin. And if these are really cold, they just peel right off. And you can peel them off just like this. And can be they can get stringy, but it usually comes down to a big old cap. I'm gonna throw that over here in the trim pile. And you can see here that there can be some hard white stuff there. I don't like it. I will make sure I get that off, because I don't, even though we're mostly corn-fed deer here, I mean, come on. They eat better than we do sometimes. So, but I'll take it off. I don't want my customers to have that. And they're not customers, they're neighbors. I just don't want my neighbors to have that. So I trim that off. I flip it over. Usually on the end right here, there's a wad of tallow there. that'll cut out. So this one is ready. This football roast is ready to either be cut into steaks or kept as a whole and made as a roast in a crock pot, or venison, like a venison pulled pork, and it's fabulous either way. My son will take a wad of ranch seasoning in the Instapot, and he will do one of these, and they are to die for. So put that one off to the side, and then this sirloin tip roast right here, I go back in here and I just make sure there's no hard fat sitting around on that. I don't want that to cook up in anybody's roast. And set that on top. Then this main piece that you get off there, there's always a skin. There's a small skin of I don't know, it's this piece that hangs out on top. Right, so I trim that off and get just to get myself a respectable piece of meat here, and that'll bring you down to, you'll see you're going to cut into a bunch of veins. You got to get that stuff out of there, because that is where the blood and the veins are, and you don't want that in your trim ever. And I know for a fact that there's a lot of people, shops, that would take that entire piece right there, and that would be in your trim meat. And I am not a fan of that. And that's why we do our own hamburger, and we do a lot of our own stuff. I do still bring some stuff in, but that's why we do it ourselves, because it's nothing better. So as you can see here, nice and lean. I'm going to flip that over. I'm going to look for this small little spot right here where I know there is still a big vein sitting in there. Now we'll cut that out. The good stuff goes to the trim. That's what I'm throwing to over there. The bad stuff goes over here. And we'll cut that baby right out of there. Nobody wants to see that in a steak. My wife yelling at the dog in there. All right, I'm gonna trim it up. I'm gonna make sure it looks good. I'm gonna make sure there's no fat on it. The slimy stuff that gets stuck to your ceiling for days and days and days and days and days. All right, so that's a good piece. That piece is ready to be cut. And she doesn't see. So this is the eye of the round right here. And you can take that, right here, and put that into, you can butterfly it, you can make steaks out of it, medallions out of it, you can do a lot of stuff with it. But I usually break this down into this piece right here, and there's a hard piece of sinew on this side and this side, and that's why it's important to have that sharp knife when you're doing it. Cut into that. And that's why a fillet knife does work very well when you're doing stuff like this, because you can take that off, and I will take that off and trim that so it's absolutely beautiful. No fat, no fat. I bet you could. I mean, they're, like you said, these are essentially from Steve Vanilla corn-fed deer. So I'm taking that. I'm just taking this other side, this other piece of sinew off over here, and trying to be as good as I can. Go. And I will take anything off the top that looks gunky or skunky or shifty. Put it in my trim pile. There's another little chunk there. That one hit the floor, and I'll guarantee my dog will find that little bitty snippety piece and not be hungry tomorrow morning. All right, there you go. Got my steak meat, my sirloins, my eye of round. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that yet. And then I am gonna take that big chunk out of there. Yeah, that's what I got. Well, I always wanted to do it. Probably not that many viewers, but something I've always wanted to do. If there's any interest, let me know. If you want to learn how to cut a deer, I'll help you out as much as I can. I know it's the end of the season. I can't do it in the beginning of the season. I like to hunt myself, and I like to, but I enjoy cutting. So give me a buzz if you really want to learn, and maybe we can hook up and maybe get a late season archery deer. I've got 2 ice shows coming up, the first and second weekend of December, and I will be there over the weekend, but you never know. Always willing to help out. Right on. Hydrate, my friends.